we celebrate the 43-year reign of the speed metal kings, Metallica. With 9 Grammy Awards and 14 nominations, 38 concert tours worldwide, and 11 studio albums that span 4 decades, the Titans of Thrash remain the standard by which all other metal is measured. We begin with a 1984 classic from their second album, For Whom the Bell Tolls, followed by the 1992 tour anthem, Wherever I May Roam. And then, let's turn down the house and light up the stage for the Auburn University Marching Band and their show, Metallica.
Sunday evening is back once again, and yes, that means it's time for another live recording of the Auburn Experience podcast. We're going to get to all things Auburn sports, culture, and family. All that's coming up in your way right now. David Housel described it best. We are living the whole of the Auburn experience. You can quantify it, you can qualify it through a variety of methods, time, people, places, and things. But at its heart and at its core, the Auburn experience is always about Auburn sports, Auburn culture, and Auburn family stuff. An easier way to say it might be, though, is if it's orange and blue, it's what we do. So thank you so much for joining us in what we're going to be doing. Episode 137 of the Auburn Experience podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, as always, Kyle Loomis, alongside me and in much better shape than me right now to start off the show, Mr. Austin Scott. Austin, welcome.
War Eagle to you, Kyle. War Eagle to our viewers and listeners. Thank you. Hope you're having a good night. And yeah, you know, it's just been a rocky, different kind of scene behind the curtain tonight.
That's the beauty of the things for Austin. He gets to watch me frantically prepare every week, no matter what we're doing. I like to think I somewhat have this act together over here, but he literally watched the studio implode on top of me.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. Austin was sitting there ready to go. I'm like checking one more thing. One light goes out. I go to find the solution for that. I go fix this other one, and it just falls apart. Literally, I mean, I'm pulling it over. I'm doing it. I'm going to wreck the studio. This thing right here, folks, on the video, fell apart and collapsed on me just in the middle of the final checks for the show. I can't explain it, Austin. So anyway, we always appreciate people of the Patreon and those of you that support us, because you literally help keep the lights on, as is apparently that we need to do here. What a start to this show. All right. This is the Auburn Experience, sports, culture, family. We're going to get into all those different things here. With 2 main topics and Auburn potpourri to get things kicked off here in just a little bit, with some minor Auburn news stories that are out there. Not minor, just things that we're not going to expound for long. And let's be honest, Austin, you and I have gone really long the last 2 episodes, especially, although there's been plenty to talk about. I wanted to come back and just get us started with like a feel-good story about something in the Auburn experience, but I'll be honest with you, you're going to have to get us going, because my Auburn experience right now is collapsing box lights that I'm just so mad I have to stare at for the whole show now. So you go ahead.
We're just going to take your mind off it here for a second. Just take a sec. There's been some good things that have gone on this week.
Yes, there has.
Let me just ask you to begin with, have you gotten to watch any Netflix this week?
I have gotten to watch the Netflix this week, yes.
Okay. What did you watch? Tell us.
I watched the brand new special, the Any Given Saturday special. Now, can I just be honest with you, Austin?
Please.
That I did not watch all of it. I found it's the one segment, right, that has Auburn's in it. There's no other ones in it.
I haven't seen a minute of it.
You have what?
So I was literally asking you. It's on my list. I have not seen a minute of it yet, but from friends and the kind of reviews on social media, it seems like it's a big LSU show. Is what I'm kind of gathering. It's a bit heavy focus on LSU, but it seems like Auburn got its 15 minutes of fame.
Yeah, let me set the stage for what I have seen of it. I obviously, most weeks, have a busy week of content creation for you guys around up. So I tried to squeeze in as best I could. When I found some time this week in between things, I was like, okay, let me find the segment that's probably mostly Auburn. I think it's like episode 5 or something like that. And of course, it's not just about Auburn on that one. It's like smattered into that. So I can't speak to, is every episode that split between 2 or 3 teams? I'm sure it is. But it did feel a little bit heavy on LSU, because LSU and Auburn were the 2 featured on that. And LSU does tend to get a little bit more of the time, so to speak. Now, granted, This is a series that they did when, like it was the season before. And so they can only work with what the team is giving you. And we all know last year, the subject matter wasn't always so great, except they did choose to film a lot of the last home game, which is what this was really about, was overcoming adversity. It was about the Texas A&M documentary style capturing of that week and that game and those moments. Keandre Lambert-Smith making that big catch, the big stop or drop to lose in quadruple overtime for Texas A&M, visiting Auburn. So it was great. I would recommend just go watch it because I think it does do a good job of putting things into perspective last year. I think sometimes it gets lost in the minutia about wins and losses, the other things that are going on in at play here. And I thought they did a pretty good job of it, to be honest with you.
Well, that's good. That was the penultimate part of the year. Just with, we talked about it then. It felt like going into, as soon as it was labeled a night game and as soon as it was kind of all the bells and whistles were hung around it, it felt like that was going to be a special week, and it turned out to be just that. So I'm glad that was showcased. When this idea came out of the documentary, to me, it was because these are popular now, right? There's the quarterback NFL one, if you've seen that, and it focuses on 3 or 4 guys. There's others, but 16 teams in the SEC, and you're telling me you're going kind of cover all of them. I never really bought into that. That would be kind of an equal, and you get something out of it. Like,
right.
To do all that and still it be quality would take a lot of time and effort. So I'm not surprised if there's a heavy emphasis on a couple of teams, but I'm glad the best part of Auburn season was covered.
Well, and here's the thing too. I don't think everybody opted into this, if I'm not mistaken, if I remember correctly. And so maybe LSU, I don't know if they paid more to have more of that, but they also had a little bit more of exciting season at times than Auburn did. So you understand that they can only go with the material that worked out. I thought they did a really good job of this, Austin, of putting the spotlight on what Peyton Thorne had to go through here at Auburn. And I think sometimes a lot of you, and most of your cowards that do it this way, that just go after Peyton Thorne, especially, when he's got some family stuff going on right now. It still happens, Austin, to this day. I've had to call a few people already. It paints him in a really good light of overcoming adversity. He takes center stage a lot. So does Cam Coleman in that. We've seen the quote from Eugene Asante about how he and those leaders are setting the foundation for the future, and okay in that sacrifice, that my service will be in that sacrifice, I think was that phrase or something like that at the end. It did a good job of capturing that. So I would highly recommend everybody go check at least that segment out. If you got time, go watch the rest of it, because maybe you'll appreciate the whole project that came together. But of course, let's be honest, they made a sports fan documentary series. You had to be an idiot to not think that the sports fans are just going to go find the segments they want to watch,
right,
and then pay attention to that one. So put that on your Netflix list for this week and go check it out. We'd love to hear some thoughts on that in particular. Before we jump into the rest of potpourri stuff, let's just acknowledge, Austin, another round of Auburn graduates have joined the ranks of a special little subsect of the Auburn family. Everybody's part of the Auburn family. Just because you didn't graduate from there doesn't mean that you're not part of the Auburn family. But this is another little group. And I feel like sometimes we take for granted the summer graduates as well. But oftentimes we see some pretty interesting graduates out of these groups, because these are people that took the summer doing certain other things to finish out their degrees. We saw that with like Colby Wooden walking this summer and getting his degree finished up. So another round of Auburn graduates, Austin, that are in the family.
Another round right before a fresh crop starts their Auburn journey here in about a week. And so congrats to those grads. My sister was a summer graduate through the nursing school program. Look, for all intents and purposes, graduation at Auburn University can be a madhouse, but the summer one's a pretty good one to go to if you got some family doing that one. So congrats to those. It's nice contrast or juxtaposition of things with that one ending and one starting up here in about a week. So it'd be really cool.
Absolutely, it is. So congrats to all of you all. Congrats, I guess, is the joke that everybody says. That's so overused, but hey, I guess it works. All right, let's get going here with some of the major, smaller news stories that happened this week. Certainly, this wasn't small in regards to the hype around it, the building towards this, the entire week. So many people were focused on this recruiting news story that came out on Friday and the decision of one Jace Matthews. Yes, he does pick the Auburn Tigers, wide receiver out of Leakesville, Mississippi. A lot of people will put him in the 4 to 5 star category, depending on who you're talking about. Once again, we always stress here, or at least I do, that we shouldn't obsess about those things so much. But what we do know is that one Marcus Davis, wide receiver coach for Auburn, former wide receiver himself, knows how to find the right guys and assemble them together, as we see the Freeze 4 continuing to build their story here. Another addition, and from Mississippi as well. There's a lot of cool angles with this Jace Matthews story is joining the Auburn Tigers.
Very, very many cool angles. I think it's really interesting that it's another kind of solid Mississippi guy that Auburn's able to snag out of the sister state. Certainly a lot of connections with Deuce Knight, certainly a lot of connections with Derek Nix, obviously Hugh Freeze as well. So very, very elite pickup for Auburn, the number 2 wide receiver in the entire country. So very cool to see that, even a crop of young guys like that Auburn has at the wide receiver room is not stirring them away from still attracting that top talent. And I think people were really excited to see that he is in the boat. So we'll see, how his senior year goes and when he gets to campus and all the things. But another really, really solid pickup for Auburn. And he made it a little fun, didn't he, Kyle? He gave the crowd a little fakeroo.
Yeah, it was fun to watch because certainly there was a lot of SEC schools that play here. You had Texas A&M, you had LSU, but really because he's a Mississippi guy, you'd think one of the state schools would have the strongest case. And it seemed like Ole Miss fans were pretty, at least hopeful that he was going to pick, and very excited when he did the fake out of picking up the hats, because he picks up the Auburn hat first, puts it down, then goes and puts on pretty much the Ole Miss hat, and then puts that back down, and then finally puts the Auburn hat on. So you heard the rise in temperature and
a little bit of a pop,
and then an unpop, and then I guess kind of a pop again for the Auburn people that chose to be there, or at least his family. It was fun. It was fun to watch that clip when it actually came out. But regardless of what his story is going to be, that will be written in time. Certainly, there's a lot of people saying add him to the group that's already here and likely still all be here if everybody chooses to remain. The original Freeze 4 and the other additions that are here as well. Wide receiver room's doing just fine at Auburn University, and this is just the next wave of it. Let's talk a little bit of soccer. Certainly, we want to keep you guys updated on them as much as we can. They have wrapped up preseason play, and they are undefeated. Not that that's a big shock. Georgia Southern, they beat at home. We talked about that last week. Memphis, they went out to Memphis, had to deal with weather again. It just seems like that's the case this summer. Thankfully, we haven't had a lot of Auburn sports be wrecked by rain this summer. They win 2-0. So here we sit. James Armstrong, brand new era, has unofficially begun, but it officially begins this week with them coming back to the confines of the Auburn Soccer Complex, a.k.a. the
Hopper.
As it should be called. So what are we thinking, Austin? Is it too much for me to ask for a pre-prediction? The preseason's basically over. Like, what do we got here?
Yeah, it's too much to ask.
Oh, come on, give me something.
No, I think it was a really good preseason. I saw a clip. I think we shared it too from the E2C Network talking about the shoes James Armstrong has to fill of Coach Hoppa and a big season ahead for kind of where the direction of this program is headed. I think it looks really bright, to be honest. I think that it's a good showing in the preseason, and what happens here at the beginning will maybe set the foundation for a special SEC slate. So, I think this team makes the tournament. I think it's a good team with a lot of talent. Obviously, anytime you have a big change from so long of a tenure, there's bound to be some kind of change in philosophy or direction. But we've told you before, Coach Armstrong is familiar with Auburn, has been here before, and understands the landscape of the program. So I don't see too much drop off in success and relevancy for this Auburn soccer program.
Yeah, I don't either. I certainly think the expectations have already been laid by the previous foundation of making the tournament. It doesn't mean that you won't have some bumps along the road, and we don't know how the rest of the year is going to shake out. But I would expect that as well. That I think that's a fine expectation to have making the NCAA tournament. And listen, this is Coach John Armstrong, who's familiar with Auburn, very familiar with Auburn, and turned around Mississippi State soccer. So a lot of interesting matchups this year. Come out and support the ladies. The season begins right now, right here, this week, a new era of Auburn soccer. You haven't been able to say that at all in our lifetimes. So here we are at the very beginning of it. We're excited to see how it's going to transpire. Now, another bit of schedule news, and I know this is not an area where a ton of you get really excited, but hear us out, folks. This is actually kind of a precursor to maybe the segment that's coming up in future episodes about Auburn weekends you should pay attention to. And here are some of, this is a little bit of an addition to those Auburn weekends that you should know about. Tennis. Again, folks, stay with us. I know a lot of you don't. I'm telling you, if y'all have not been out to the Arbor Center and watched some Auburn tennis in the spring, especially, you're missing out. Men's really and fun. Women's. Really good. Second year for Coach Zabo, and Bobby Reynolds has been around for a while as head coach. So both have really good pedigrees there. They've dropped both the men's and the women's fall schedules. What you need to know about tennis in the fall, and again, correct me if you know anything differently, Austin, but from what I understand, this is just kind of like, it's not the preseason, but the real thing is in the spring. There's a lot of individual tournaments. The ITEA championships or regionals are in this part of the time, the Blue-Gray National Invitation. That's all going on. Those are big events in the fall season of tennis. What you need to know for you as Auburn fans that I think is most important is when are they going to be here in the fall, because you'll get more familiarity with them in the spring. You've got two opportunities, one for each, men and women. October 3rd through the 5th, the Battle on the Plains. What an awesome name for that.
That's
at
awesome.
The Yarborough Tennis Center for men's tennis. Come out and support the Tigers for that. For the women, you need to know October 13th through the 17th. So right after that, no, that'd be a couple weeks after the men, the ITA Southern Regional Championships will be held in Auburn, Alabama at the Yarborough Tennis Center. So you need to pay attention to both those things. The ITA Championships is a big deal, and Auburn's hosting it. So yeah, that's a lot of respect there. This is a good opportunity for folks to come out, Austin.
Really good opportunity. That women's one, especially the 13th through 17th, you said, is in between Georgia and Missouri, two home games. So just, look, you all got PTO. Just take the week, come down to Auburn for the Georgia game, celebrate the win at Toomers, hang out with the Arbor Center all week, and then stay for Missouri. It's fine. You all got it. Kyle's going to do it, so it's fine.
You're kind of we didn't even talk about this, Austin. I already done our prep work for that segment coming up about Auburn weekends. You're kind of leading into a point that I'm going to make when we get to that point without you even knowing it. So yes.
We didn't talk.
I promise. We do sometimes plan behind the scenes, except when lights fall apart on me. But that's a little bit of a hint there. So 2 opportunities this fall to see them, but you can see them in Montgomery, Fayetteville, Arkansas, Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, Athens, Orlando, North Carolina, Baton Rouge. They're basically going all the different SEC locations, it seems like. So if you're an Auburn Tiger fan, there are opportunities to see the men's and women's tennis programs at home and on the road, plenty this fall. Come out and support them and familiarize yourself when the spring begins. I was going to make some kind of nice tennis joke there, and it just didn't come out. So
it's okay. I saw the intent.
There you go. All right, one final note here to round out potpourri. I'm just going to do this out of self-indulgence. We love ourselves some Dylan Cardwell here, and this is a bit old now because it came out. It happened last weekend. What's going on?
I'm singing the song. Go
Thank
ahead.
goodness you were not the one doing the actual procession. So Dylan Cardwell is a married man, folks. Ladies, I'm sorry. He's off the market officially. Seriously, I think people who aren't Auburn fans don't understand. Why do y'all obsess about this Dylan Cardwell guy so much? You got to know the dude. He is like the quintessential Auburn man. I've never met him myself other than just a passing thing. I don't think Austin has ever. So we're only speaking of what we get to know about Dylan, but from what he puts out there, what people say about him, the people that opinion we trust, this is just, the best example of the Auburn man that we've had in quite some time. And his then fiance, now wife, I think her name is Zaria. It's either or Zariah. It's one of the two. Either way, Miss Cardwell now is a very lucky woman, and he's a lucky man for her as well. So we just want to congratulate and celebrate the two of them. Hey, listen, he's checking off things, going to the NBA, getting married very quickly, isn't he?
Checking them all off. Congrats to the Cardwells. That's really awesome for both of them, and they'll start their Auburn lives together. I think I saw this week Dylan officially signed a two-way with the Kings as well. So they're officially head to Sacramento. So congrats to them. And look, it's been a really busy summer for Dylan, and wish them all the best. And I got to see, I think I saw Jabari Smith was in town, Wendell Green was in town to celebrate them. So always really cool to see so many Auburn guys make it a priority to celebrate others.
Absolutely. It's a great thing to see them so much. So anyway, last bit note here, just really quickly, it is preseason football time for NFL. So you're going to see a lot of your Auburn Tigers. Already been great highlights, like we said, for Colby Wooden graduating. Jarrett Stidham had a touchdown. Fairweather had a touchdown for the Dallas Cowboys. Nehemiah Pritchett had an interception for the Seattle Seahawks, and DJ James.
Yeah.
He also, see, look, I got it.
Got it.
It wasn't on the list, but I put it on there. Had an interception for the New England. Anybody else I'm missing, Austin?
Look, I think you covered it all. I thought I had you, but you got it.
The only thing we're missing is, I know Jarquez already debuted, but if he had just an outstanding night that first night with the Rams, that would have been great and just made this week even better. But anyway.
These opportunities, though, because Fairweather's touchdown came against the Rams, and they're probably out there. I just haven't looked, but all these like preseason opportunities give you that chance to see those pictures of the Auburn fraternity guys getting together and having they're all pictured together. Keandre Lambert-Smith for the Chargers also had a big week. I think that was a couple weeks ago, but we that took a lot of headlines. So it's always fun to see those pictures. Hopefully we'll get a few of them.
Yeah, and it's a great sign to just see so many Auburn people doing so well so early in preseason. Obviously, for those that are trying to earn a spot, they're doing a really great job of putting themselves out there already. All right, that's Auburn Potpourri. Auburn main topics here. Let's do it. We have spent 2 weeks, Austin, going through the different groups, offense, then defense, and spending some time talking about the individuals, the stories, maybe questions in some areas. We're about 2 weeks into practice, so we'll also spend some time on that in this segment. But we have one more group, one that's very special to my heart, to spend some time on today, and that is the special teams. Yes, I was a kicker. Yes, I'm 100% for my field goals, 1 for 1. I'm probably one of the few people that actually say that. I did a lot of extra points. We won't talk about my percentage there, but the one actual field goal, 1 for 1. So obviously I have a fondness for kickers. So let's start there. And I think honestly, that's going to be the biggest storyline of the season in the special teams area after what happened last year. Auburn is traditionally known as a kicker U type of place. I mean, we can go back through the list even to where, let's talk about Alec McPherson's first year. Before him was Anders Carlson. Then it was Daniel Carlson. Then it was
Cody Parkey.
I almost went John Vaughn already. I was like, I went way back there. I could go John Vaughn, Philip Yost, Damon Duvall, Wes Byram. I got them out of order there. But here's my point. Auburn has not had a lack of great kickers in its history in some really big moments too. So here we sit with, effectively, after what happened last year, McPherson's issues with his health, first year being thrown into the fire for Towns Magoo, and then a couple others. Ian Vachon, who I don't think he's here anymore, got an opportunity as well. So we have, in essence, a kind of wide open kicker opportunity here. But I think where we need to start was Alex's health, and we got a big update this week that I found very encouraging, to be honest with you. Awesome.
Yeah. It sounds like Alex is just about back to what we're all hoping and expecting. And outside of the kicking on the field issues at all, I think that's all what we wanted to hear. We wanted to hear that his recovery is as best as it can be. Some really weird things happening for him last year, and I'm sure frustrating mentally and physically all in the same sense. But like Kyle said, so absolutely played a factor in kind of Auburn's success last year and the kind of roller coaster that it was in the kicking realm. So just really great to see and hear that he is back to kind of doing what he does. We talked about the open practice last week. and getting to go, or was that last week? Yeah, last week.
Yes.
Getting to go to that, he certainly looked, he's always been a small guy. So that's the craziest thing to me is when we hear the coaches talk about how he lost so much weight and all this. I'm like, he's already a small guy. And then to lose even more, but certainly looked out there like he was comfortable, kicking a lot, kicking it deep. And so I think Auburn's hoping for everything and more from him this year to get back to that freshman sensation he was when he was totally perfect.
Yeah. Would it be unfair to say that it's probably Alex's job if he is 100%? Do you think that's unfair in any way to Towns at this point?
I don't think it's unfair. I think, like I thought you put it really well saying Towns got thrown into the fire last year. He did. Had a really great A-Day, had a really good start to the year, and things just kind of, went off the rails for him a little bit. Not anything, super bad, but just to where he, I think, lost some confidence mentally, physically, and all those things, and didn't expect to be in that position. Now with Alex kind of back, and hopefully they're working off each other, being able to talk to each other, mentor each other, that's helping them both succeed. But I think Alex is definitely probably the front runner here. And I think for Auburn's best chances and where they want the most success to come from, I think they need Alex to be back who he was.
Absolutely. And so just for those that are uninformed about what's been happening, and we can only speak to what Alex has shared and what the staff has shared with us. He's not gone into detail about what his issue was, but it was gastrointestinal in nature. It caused him to lose a ton of weight, thus your strength. And as you said, he was already a very small guy. I joke, and I say this with all the love I can, Alex, but literally the first time the dude walked out in the tunnel at an open practice, I said, who's the 18-year-old? Or who's the 8th grader, I think is really what I said, because he was short and just, he was your stereotypical kicker looking guy.
When you're used to looking, no less power, but when you're used to watching the Carlson's Giants for 2 years, Cody Parkey was a small guy. And then Alex trots out there after 2 Colorado behemoths kick for you for 2 years and do so phenomenally. You're like, oh yeah, that's normally how the kickers look.
Yes. So we're hopeful that this has gotten fixed for him. We're not going to, I guess, speculate too much on what that is. I can just tell you with family members that have dealt with other issues in that family, it can be debilitating and very, I was going to use the term gut wrenching, but I mean, that's kind of unfortunate. That's an unfortunate phrase, but it's the reality of it all. But we're glad that he has said that his strength appears to be back. His situation is under control. So we're just going to operate from the assumption that Alex, if he's good to go, is going to be the starter. Towns, I think, with another year under his belt, growing, is going to have opportunities as well. And there's some others that have come into the kicker room as well, in case things were to fall apart or his health were to fail him, or if Towns wasn't ready for some reason. I have full faith that we're going to get back to Auburn being kicker U here very, very quickly this year, and known for that once again. So that's where we're at on the kicker room. Let's talk about punters. And this is going to be a fun one because, yes, there are plenty of people that are waiting for me to say his name. And we're just going to go ahead and go with it. It's Hudson Cack, and that's how I'm going to say it. And that's going to be exactly how I'm going to pronounce it the entire season. We're just going to flow right by there. So, brand new punter, wonder from down under. It's not lame. It is Hudson Cack. You can say it however you want. I'm just going to say it that way because I'm not having a mess up again. But obviously, Auburn is known for also its punters as well. Probably more so known for their place kickers, their kickoff guys, in terms of name, notoriety, things like that. But let's be honest, Austin, we still got Aaron Sippis, I believe, who's with the Eagles as their still leading punter. I think Oscar Chapman is still out there somewhere. He just got there. So Auburn has had like a steady stream of guys at the punting position that have done really well. And Hudson comes over from Oklahoma State, which I think is, some people would see that as a lateral move. But if you know Auburn's history with that situation and being able to play in the SEC, this is an upgrade for him. Yeah,
well, I think, like you said, it's a good line of punters here in recent memory too. But it's also all punters from down under. Aaron Sippos kind of started that trend. Oscar Chapman, I think, was picked up by the Vikings, if I remember our draft.
You are correct, actually.
Yes. I don't know if he's still there or anything like that, but and now Hudson. So I think that, he's a more established guy in terms of at the D1 and collegiate level than Auburn's had. You don't hear of Auburn getting many transfer punters. And so that's what they're walking into this year. But this is in no way offense to any other punter on Auburn's roster, but I don't know their names. And so I
can
think,
tell you it. John Allen McGuire just came in from
the
new class
from Thompson. Yes.
From Thompson. So
okay, well, there you go. So a freshman and following a grad senior here. So that kind of tells you probably who we'll be talking about this on August 10th, 2026 in the punting realm. But I think that it's Hudson's. I think they knew that when they brought him in. They didn't want to trust that to a freshman right away. Maybe that they've had just other experience with that. And so I think that it's Hudson's to lose. He's certainly all over social media with Auburn athletics. And so I think that probably shows you he's front and center. But I look forward to seeing Hudson punt for Auburn. And then to follow that up or transition that, I think Reed Hughes is still at Auburn.
Oh, yeah, perfect.
Does Reed long snap for both punting and PATs?
I believe so.
That's what I was thinking. So that's more continuity there. I think that can only help you, a guy who knows exactly what he's supposed to be doing, just trying to perfect his craft. And so I think the punting world for Auburn, it's never been an issue, like Kyle was just saying, with the history and the guys who've come before Hudson. But I think it's going to probably continue pretty seamlessly here.
Yeah, so I like the way that you phrase that. You've got Hudson, you've got and then obviously Reed in that situation together, and then you got John Allen McGuire, and they've already brought in someone else in the long snapper realm, and they added someone this year in the class too. So it looks like it's almost a transitioning of the guard, because after he leaves, John Allen takes over. So there's the next wave of long snappers. So I think we're set up really well here for some growth underneath the guys who have been here for a while. And I think we'll be in good hands in the putting situation. Just last bit of special teams here. And I know this is more speculation because this can change on a dime, but I think there are some big players here that are obvious from the past and that are coming in this year in the return game. Certainly there's more than the returners in the return game, or even the coverage, if you want to talk about that too. We've known players like Jarquez Hunter, who played a lot on the defense side of punt returns or kick returns and have done really well, even while they were playing significant snaps on their respective offense or defense. But we're looking at really the returners here. I think Rashawn Pleasant is a guy who's already gotten the attention. He's already gotten nominated for specialist awards as a watch list. There's a lot of hype around him. What's your feeling of him? Are we looking kick returner, punt returner, both?
I think probably kick returner. Like you said, this is all speculative, and it likely will change a couple of times and before we ever really know who the guy is moving forward. I could see punt returner too. I think he certainly has the knack for returning, and so you could see him there. As to not just wear a guy out by playing him on defense and punting and kickoff returns, I could also see Malcolm Sivens being a returner. I think it'll be really interesting to see the rotation for kick returns, but also as in who are the two guys back, and then also if there's kind of a short yardage punt return guy, a long yardage punt return guy. I can't think of somebody who has always been the guy that's been super successful in recent memory. So I wonder if Auburn's looking for that, or if they're looking for someone or kind of by committee, if that makes sense. Is there someone else, Kyle, you think that jumps to mind as being someone you like to trot out there?
Well, I mean, I think we've already seen it. And if you watch, I know you're not playing college football 26. He's already listed on there. That's Jeremiah Cobb. And now
on kickoffs.
On kickoffs, I'm sorry, I've switched over on you a little bit on both of those sides there. But I wonder, is this with him supposedly, and he's already had one injury he's had to deal with, which he was cleared of this week during practice with his thumb. Are we wanting to save him more for the offense and give some of the younger guys opportunities? But then you also want to give your playmakers opportunities to do things with the ball in their hands. And that's an extra opportunity for Jeremiah Cobb. He was so close last year a few times, busting one loose. How would you balance that out? Because I think that's really the two main guys that pop out to me, Rashawn Pleasant and then Jeremiah Cobb. What would you do with Jeremiah Cobb?
It is a sticky situation, but I think that, with Jeremiah kind of being the third guy in the running back room last year, you have a little more leeway in trying to get him involved on kickoff return. Certainly we've seen Jarquez Hunter return kicks. We've seen Trey Mason return kicks, Corey Grant return kicks, and those are all guys who are featured in the offense. So it's not out of the ordinary to see that. I just wonder with Auburn kind of figuring out the running back room and not having a guy like Jarquez Hunter who had piled up so much tape and so many stats here that is your bell cow, if they're going to be a little more hesitant on letting Cobb return kicks. But he's got experience doing it. So for me, I think I would stick with Rayshon Pleasant and maybe Malcolm Simmons back there just to preserve him for the offense. Sure. But certainly there's a case to be made for both ways.
And listen, we're probably missing out on some of these really talented athletes that are usually a lot younger and that want that playing time and might beat someone out. But those are some of the big names that pop to us in the specialist return games that maybe you should be paying attention to this season. But that's always a fun, interesting way for someone to make a name for themselves.
Absolutely.
Here we are with the last little bits of this segment. We're in second week of practice. So a lot of the stuff that's going to be talked about has already happened. Usually about midway through fall practice, which we're approaching, that is when cuts are made in terms of depth charts and things like that. Even though that's not officially announced, don't be shocked if you see people decide to sit out a year or transfer or whatever. That happens from time to time. Obviously in the changing world, things, they're just, you never can tell how they're going to go. But that's some of the things that are going to be transpiring. But maybe what we can talk about really quickly is, I think, a feel-good story this week of what you always see happen during fall practice. And it's not just Auburn doing it, but we just obviously want to highlight our Auburn guys, players getting scholarships, walk-ons that didn't get the opportunities for that. As far as I know, 2, and I think that's specifically Hugh said in his press conference. One was featured already. I don't know if they'll be doing anything else for the other one, but it's at least out there. Let's talk about the one that was featured. Cameron King, who's a wide receiver. He's been around for at least a little bit, so he's not shouldn't be unfamiliar to Auburn folks. You certainly don't see him out there like you do the other wide receivers, but he's there and he's putting in the work. And from what Coach said, it seemed like his family needed it and he's deserved it. And so what a great guy. It seems like very good friends with Bryce Kane. The other guy, Paul Thompson, a safety, who I think's been around for several years now as well. So 2 guys that put in the work every day, offense and defense. You'd love to see that, each side of the ball getting a scholarship to someone who's very much earned it. These stories never get old.
No, never get old. The videos never get old. It always really intrigues me on when they do these kind of things, like when these videos come out, if the guys who are walk-ons are like, is he calling me because this is my shot? And certainly in the Auburn's case here, in the video, looked like a team meeting. I think probably they'd had a couple guys come up already. If you haven't seen the video, they're in a team meeting room. Cameron King gets called out to come answer some questions, kind of like a get to know you icebreaker kind of thing. Kind of felt to me like they'd already had a couple guys go before him, so maybe that was the way to not throw him off so much. But then he like sends him back, and I was like, oh man, Coach is really leaning into we're gonna make this a surprise. But and then tells him he's on scholarship, he gets mobbed, all the things. Those videos never get old. There's always new creative ways to do it, but very deserving. Very cool to see. It's always really cool to see to me. Really cool for me to see the excitement that all the other players have for those guys, and that they're highly thought of by those guys, and they don't have the perks that the scholarship players have, and maybe the NIL the scholarship players have, and things like that. But their hard work gets rewarded, and I think you see their hard work, maybe not by the pictures on social media or the videos on social media, but you see their hard work represented in how those guys respond to them being rewarded, because they recognize what they see on the practice field, and them getting a chance to go on full scholarship. So congrats to both those guys. Very, very cool.
Yeah, very much deserved. And your teammates are obviously very excited for you, but the Auburn family is just equally, if not even more proud for seeing those moments happen. Maybe as a final note, really quickly, I do want us to take opportunities that are football related in this space. We always talk about the great things that are being added to the Auburn experience. There's a lot revolved around Rhett Hobart and his team, everybody, what they're doing to provide in terms of experiences, food, making things easier for fans, premium opportunities. And obviously we know that Jordan-Hare Stadium on the north side has been undergoing a lot of work. New video boards ready to roll. Already seen a little teaser clip of that. But underneath that, the future's coming in terms of what's going to happen with that space. But what has already happened is a bottleneck that happens a lot during the season has been fixed back there. I know you're excited. I know you're on the other side of with your seats now, but you really would have loved to have this brand new space opened up on the concourse for all of the vendors and such.
Yeah, Rhett posted kind of like, so back there behind the concourse, it was just the same width as the concourse on any other side of the stadium. But now with the extension of the new video board and the, let's go ahead and say this again, the freestanding structure, so that it can be more can be expanded and built more into the stadium for future opportunities and development. That concourse has doubled, if not more, in walkway space. So like you said, I am no longer on that side of the stadium anymore, but man, it gets tight down there, especially during halftime and bathroom breaks. So it will be very, very well trafficked, I'm sure. And that looks, I think we all knew that. We've talked about that before, that was going to be a benefit of this new video board, but to see it actually like all fluid in one thing through Rhett's pictures was like, oh, praise the Lord.
Yeah, it's a welcome change to the Auburn fan experience down there, and I'm sad that you had to move. So now you'll be over there. That's suggested. Right. So anyway, lots coming for that side of the stadium, as you alluded to. Only one part is done; the next has been finished up. More to come. So everybody, just patience. I know you think it needs to be expanded. That doesn't mean it's not coming. Just a little bit of patience is required. But this is something cool in the meantime. Let's wrap up the show with our last main topic this evening. Just because it's football season almost doesn't mean we can't still talk about basketball. And this is what helps me get through, Austin, while we wait for that dadgum full schedule to arrive. I have been just itching for the full schedule. And yes, if it drops this next week, we'll be talking about it again next week. But we're going to at least do it as that. Here's the thing, folks. This is how the new schedule thing happens in the world of social media. You get your little individual games or tournaments, if it's basketball, to come out, and then you'll get like here's your SEC opponents. And then finally, here we are today with the full SEC schedule for men's and women's basketball. Obviously, we're going to talk about both. Let's jump in with the women first with Coach Larry Vickers, his first year. We have already broken down who those opponents were going to be, although now we know how it's going to lay out for him in terms of a schedule. So let's spend a little bit of time looking through that. I'm going to walk through this as quickly as I can for you. We'll give some comments about it as well. We're going to open up at Mississippi State, home for Tennessee, at Texas, home for Florida and Bama, at Vanderbilt, home for Oklahoma and South Carolina, at Ole Miss, at Florida, LSU at home, at Texas A&M, at Missouri, Georgia, and Kentucky to round out the year, and Arkansas on the road. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that one. It'll be the last game of the year, and then the SEC tournament will be in Greenville, South Carolina, March 4th through the 8th. That'll take you January 1st all the way to March 8th in the SEC tournament here. Austin, if I had to ask you what stuck out to you from that list, what would you say? If anything does.
It's always ridiculous not playing Alabama twice.
Florida's twice, folks.
Come on, out there makes no sense. It's, at least we play them once. It's not like softball, but we won't get into all that tonight. To transition into that, Alabama being on a midweek, I'm kind of like, that kind of stinks. But
it's a lot of questionable things. Do y'all not know where the money is made, right?
Questionable things for sure. Obviously, you get big ones at home with Tennessee, LSU, Georgia, South Carolina, obviously. So, a really big home slate. We discussed that when we talked about the opponents and where they'll be. As far as the order, I like that, it's kind of ebbs and flows here. You got a couple home games, then on the road, a couple more home games, then on the road for 2 back. So it's nothing spread out too much as far as they're gone for a long time or they're here for a long time. So certainly plenty of opportunities to get to see this team, a brand new team for all intents and purposes, with Coach Vickers at the helm and all the things. So a really exciting year for Auburn women's basketball, and there's plenty of really good opponents for you to get a chance to see too.
Listen, I don't know that you could have picked a better overall home schedule for your first year as head coach of the Auburn Tigers. At home, you get Tennessee, Florida, you get Alabama, You get Oklahoma, South Carolina, LSU. We already know that LSU and South. You get both South Carolina and LSU. Those are the two powers right now in women's college basketball, but also in the SEC. And listen, we're not going to sit here and say that they're going to upset them in year one. It's happened recently where we've upset one of those under a different head coach. But if you're going to pull that off, it's better to do it at home. So I think kicking the SEC year off with Tennessee, that pedigree for women's basketball, there's no better way to just show out. For the Auburn family needs to show up and show out for that first SEC home game versus Tennessee.
Where does Coach Vickers get his first home SEC win?
To me, I will say I feel like it'll be in that Florida and Alabama thing. I'll be honest with you, I'm not as familiar where Tennessee's at these days. I'm just more speaking about their pedigree. It could be the first Tennessee game if he's got them going in the right direction. I know we had a complete overhaul of the roster, so that leaves a lot of questions. But if you've got two cracks at very good teams and two rivals in a sense, Florida and Alabama at home back to back, I feel like one of those definitely has got to fall in your favor. So Texas, I feel like is usually probably a little bit better. I just feel like it's going to be difficult on the road in the SEC as it always is under a first-year head coach. So that's where I'm going to assume it comes in. Do you differ in any way?
No, I think you're right. I think his first SEC win and his first home SEC win will both be Florida. That's going to be my prediction for you today. I wanted to say Alabama, but that's my birthday, and just look, you can't have all these good things at one time, so we'll just say Florida.
Well, I was going to say I'll just differ and go more specific. I'll say Alabama, so we'll see who's right. You predict Florida's, and I'll pick Alabama. I am hoping you're right, though, because I want that win to come first to Florida, so then they can beat Alabama and have two in a row at home. There you go. That's what we'll take. So there's your opportunities to come see the women's basketball team in SEC play. When we get the full schedule, we'll obviously take a look at that too. Let's jump over to the men's side of the SEC schedules being out. Certainly, there is so much excitement every year under Bruce Pearl, no matter what the schedule looks like. But certainly with the SEC schedule here, we need to break it down a little bit. 18 total games, as it always is, for the Auburn Tigers to play this year. And here is your schedule for the SEC from January 3rd all the way until the SEC tournament begins. I'll run it through for you very quickly. At Georgia, home for Texas A&M and Arkansas after that. At Missouri, home for South Carolina. At Ole Miss. At Florida, home for Texas. At Tennessee, home for Alabama. Home for Vanderbilt. At Arkansas. At Mississippi State. Kentucky for home. At Oklahoma. Ole Miss, then LSU at home, back-to-back. Finally, once again, Austin, we can touch on this in more detail if we need to. You can't tell me these things aren't planned. Auburn finishes out the year at Alabama March 7th. Following that, the SEC tournament the next week over there. I usually walk through the whole thing with you, but I think we got to address the elephant in the room. Come on. I mean, it's so obvious what they knew was going to happen by the end of the year. Auburn and Alabama at Alabama.
Well, and to their credit, they paid off last year, right? Auburn got the home game to end the year with Alabama. Went down to the very end. Don't remember what happened, but I think that they got the return.
You were there for that one, weren't you?
I was not. I was undefeated last year. Don't let anybody tell you differently. I was at that one over there, and look what happened. Nobody want to give me a ticket over here. We would have won. That's all I'm saying. But they flip it this year, and Auburn heads over to Tuscaloosa for the final game of the regular season. And like you said, it is bound to be. It's always a highly anticipated game now. They have made their decision to now put both games on Saturdays. They should have done it years ago, but both games again on Saturdays to build up all the emotion and possible excitement about it. So that one to end the year means there's nothing to take off. It's a full-on sprint from January 3rd to March 7th. So no, I'm not surprised at all. I was not surprised in the least bit when I saw that come out.
Yeah, I was, it's usually whoever Auburn matches up with really well for the end of the year. Tennessee's been in that slot, or Alabama before too, but it makes too much sense with both teams expected to be very good again this year. So no shock there, but I'm glad you pointed out the whole 2 Saturdays now. It's been fixed and as it rightly should be, and hopefully we'll be celebrating an Iron Bowl victory on that day as well at the home one of those. Other things that maybe stick out to me on this.
Oh,
particular
for football, thank you.
I'm sorry.
Took me a second. You're good.
Yeah,
took
sorry.
me a second.
You got there. You got
All
there.
the way over the head. Yeah, thank
you.
you.
You got there for it. Florida, obviously a lot of hype around them. You got to go to Florida. Not a lot of great history there. That's a tough one to have to go and face.
The loss.
Don't feel good about that one. At Tennessee, at Arkansas. This is not that easy of a schedule at first glance when we look at it. And not that it ever is easy in the SEC. I mean, this is just initial reactions I'm having. I mean, maybe you can say at Georgia might be one of your – I'm kidding. Sorry. They're getting a little bit better these days. I mean, what do you think? Is this easier, more difficult? Where are we sitting in comparison to last year?
No, I find it pretty difficult. I mean, you don't have to go to A&M. That's another place Auburn has had. They've come out with wins, but it's been a struggle.
No Buzz Williams.
They got Buckyball coming in, and so he'll return to the state of Alabama. But no going to College Station. I think for me, the stretch that is just the most, I don't want to say brutal, but just intriguing is at Ole Miss, at Florida, home against Texas, at Tennessee, and then home against Alabama. That's not to dismiss South Carolina or Vanderbilt on either side of that. But if I wanted to say it was all hard, I could just read it all again. But Kyle already did that. Sure. So to me, it's that stretch right there is the most pivotal and difficult of the whole thing. You go to Ole Miss, who we play twice every year, but always is a highly contested, hot game over in the Pavilion. Then you, like Kyle just said, you go to Florida. It's just, I don't even want to think about it yet. And then home against Texas, who's going to have a new coach, always has a lot of talent. Took Auburn down to the wire last year in their own place. Then you go to, oh
Tennessee.
My goodness. Yes,
Tennessee.
I was trying to say
the other UT.
The stadium name, but I can't remember it. Golly,
it's trash. It's fine.
It's huge, but it's And so you got to go up there. There's a lot of history, and then home against Alabama. So that stretch right there will be, I'm going to say going into it, Auburn's looking pretty good. That stretch right there might be a big make or break time on how many they can get out of that, and still come in the top echelon of the SEC. So I like that schedule overall. It still makes no sense to me why Auburn's playing Arkansas twice in the year when Georgia's right there. But you know what? I stopped trying to make sense of what the SEC people decided a long time ago, and I'm better off for it.
Yeah, we've griped about that across multiple sports. It doesn't make sense sometimes. Kind of like playing Florida twice in women's basketball when Alabama's right there, or Georgia. I mean, either one. So let me ask you maybe 2 questions to round out our discussion here. First one is this. These are both predictions. We know that Auburn and College Game Day have become pretty synonymous the last several years. Yeah, you see where I'm going with this.
I do.
I think there's 2 prime candidates right there in the middle of that stretch that you just talked about being one of the toughest, and 2 home. Certainly that goes with Outlive. Obviously they tie that into it with Bruce's ties back to ESPN too. I'm sure that's going to all help bring that hype around that. The obvious choice is Alabama. I think it's right there in the sweet spot of where it normally is too. It would make a lot of sense. However, what if Texas in this first-year head coach gets things going? This is the first time that Auburn and Texas will play each other in Neville Arena, as far as I know. I don't think there's another opportunity. I think this is the very first time. Do you see a world, where it's Texas, or do we see, what do you think, a year with no College Game Day coming to Auburn?
No, I think they'll be coming to Auburn. I just think I would probably put Alabama or Kentucky over the Texas game as the most likely options.
Kentucky's pretty late in the season, though.
It's late, but they got to go somewhere.
I know. Okay.
So that would be my guess. I don't really see none of the other ones, unless somebody's having Cinderella year.
Yeah.
None of the other ones really get me. You
Ole
could
Miss?
make a case for Arkansas on January 10th. Just because of Cal, and that maybe they've had a really good non-conference, and it's the first opportunity for Auburn. I'd have to look at other games. I think that's always plays a pivotal point too.
Yeah.
but honestly, for me, I think it's Alabama at home or bust. It's become too good in today's era. Last year it was Tennessee at home. They were both. Well, no, it wasn't 1-2, but they were both top 5, I think.
Okay.
And then the game day made the return trip to Alabama for the 1-2 matchup. So for me, it's the home game against Alabama or bust. What away possibilities do you see for where game day could be?
Listen, if they're doing it on March 7th, and if Auburn and Alabama do expect what they're expected to, that if they haven't gone to the Alabama one already, they'll probably go to that one, unless it's just. I mean, they go to Ohio State and Michigan every year in football, so why not just go twice to the Iron Bowl?
Florida.
Ooh, that's it. Yep, that's it.
I think so too. I think if Auburn's doing well and Florida's doing well, I think that's a really good opportunity.
I think we just figured it out right there. See, that's what happens. We can put our heads together and figure it out.
So then, to your point, if it's Florida for me, I don't. Oh well, here's another point, Kyle. We're not even discussing. I don't know which ones of these are Saturdays. Now Alabama obviously is, but
so
I don't think Texas is.
Texas is not. No, Texas would be, wouldn't it?
I think there's a bye somewhere.
There's a bye right in there. You're correct.
I think Tennessee's that Saturday. So yes, Tennessee. So there's a bye in between Tennessee and Alabama.
We're doing math on the show, and
this is not good. This is not good. But it looks like Florida would also be a Saturday. Yes, because Florida is a Saturday. So I think that's my pick for the road game.
So let's just say this. I think our guesses should be Alabama at home for College game day. The best away one is Florida, if that is a Saturday.
Or Tennessee. Or Tennessee. I think either one of those, but
we'll figure it out.
But if they're already planning Alabama at home, they're not going to do Tennessee with Auburn.
Yeah, that's true. All right. So final question I have for you, similar to what we did with women's basketball. I'm going to do first loss and first. You did it to me. I'm going to do it to you now. First loss and first win on the SEC schedule for you. Way too early predictions.
First win is in Athens. Don't even. Somebody's going to clip that, and that's fine. I was at the last one. It was a very close game. It's in Athens.
I love you have the phone up to it's in Athens.
It's in Athens. Check.
Clip it.
Somebody gif that check. First loss. This could be fun. I will say, I don't remember how good of an offseason these people had. I will say that feels optimistic. I'll say at Florida.
Wow.
I almost said at Ole Miss just because that place gives me the jitters, but we always get out of there.
Yeah.
But I'll say at Florida.
I think it's fair to say that with Auburn's reputation at home, the majority of the time, it's fair to say the first loss comes on the road, but the choices are Georgia, Missouri, Ole Miss is probably your best one. I'm going to say at Ole Miss.
Now look, Auburn got really lucky with Missouri last year being as early as it was. And so I don't think there's a team to snuff over.
No.
But I don't think it's Georgia. And like you said, I don't want to just go through the home schedule, but home with A&M, new coach, I'm very high on, think he's really good, but it'll be his first test in the SEC as well. And then Arkansas and South Carolina, I just see Auburn being able to take advantage of those. Now, you want to throw some real semantics into here?
Uh-oh.
Could it be A&M? I think so.
Yeah.
If kids are not back. That's January 6th or 7th. Our students going to be back. Here's my charge to you on August 10th, Jungle, is you better be back for January 6th or 7th. That's probably going to be one of those. They're going to let all the olds and myselves buy tickets if we want in the general section. Don't let us have it. Come back and fill it out.
That's right. Show us up and push us out because we'll take it if we get the opportunity to. But we agree. First wins at Georgia. First loss, a little iffy. Couple of options there.
I'm going to say Florida. It wouldn't surprise me.
Okay, I'll go Ole Miss. Just
all right. There we go.
Be different right there. So there's your predictions and there's your previews. Auburn men's basketball SEC schedule, full schedule coming up very soon. That's going to do it for episode 137 of the Auburn Experience podcast. Thanks for hanging out with us this evening for the live portion, but also the recording. Appreciate you doing that as well. If you want to keep up with me, you can do so on X at Kyle Loomis 24. Also, check out all of our social media for E2C Network across every platform you basically use out there. Make sure you're following, subscribing, whatever it is. Hit the button. Do it. Where can they find you?
Yeah, at Austin G. Scott, Instagram, X, whatever. I'm out there.
And hopefully next week I will have working lights.
Hopefully next week you will have working lights.
And hopefully I won't be frantic when start the show.
Look, Kyle, if nothing else, please just recognize that 3 weeks from right now, we will be talking about the first Auburn football game of the season.
Yes, sir.
So it's coming, folks. Just hang on. Just hang on.
Hang in there. Austin's going to be there. I probably won't, but
I'll be there.
It's exciting times, folks, in the Auburn Experience. So we talk to you again. War Eagle.
War Eagle.
All right, that's the live recording.
Hey,
we got
under an hour.
We got
under an hour, folks. You're welcome.
We're doing better. We're doing better. Now, thank you all for your patience at the beginning of the show. I'm going to give Austin the floor to say his last thoughts, goodbyes, and then I'm going to stick around for the Q&A. What you got, sir?
Well, on the night of the issue of lights, I'm just really bummed that my light is too bright because it's really not showing my hat that I wanted to showcase tonight.
Let's just see.
So I'm going to hang on. Oh, that was a terrible way to do that.
Oh my gosh.
I'm going to take this right here.
What's going on with that?
Look at this hat. How great
Where did you get that from?
The thrift store, man, of course.
No, but what brand is it?
Oh, I don't know. The classic. It's from the Auburn University Regional Airport, though.
Oh,
look at Aubie flying a plane.
Cool, Austin.
Isn't it? Never seen it before.
I
pretty cool.
Often wake up in the night just being upset about that you get to live in Auburn, but moments like this, they're just, yeah, I'm angry with you right now. The fact that you found that before me.
I mean, look at that. He's so cute.
How are you even wearing that? That should be like up on a display somewhere. That's pretty awesome.
I know. I just had to break it out tonight. I hadn't broken it out yet, and I just had to break it out. Oh, everyone's favorite question. Thank you for asking, Devin. They're great. They get moved up in class tomorrow, so it's a big day tomorrow. School is starting, and now they're just at daycare. They're just 2.5. Time hasn't flown that quick, but so they're the best of friends and worst of enemies, and we're lucky to find out which is which on any given day.
Hey, they're just prepping for when they're going to be the two greatest Auburn linebackers that ever came through. That's what I'm saying.
Yes, that will be in their dreams, I'm sure. But we're still shooting for Mike Men, and I'm happy with that.
Can you just imagine the day that you can say, "Listen, this is how it started. You and Bubby together, and now
you and Bobby. Look at y'all now. Look at now. Well, yeah, man, I hadn't heard Bobby in a while. It's kind of sad. It's kind of sad.
For those of you who don't know, that's what his kids used to call Aubie, and now it's
just Aubie.
Sorry about that.
Aubie. But we do listen. I really wish that I had been able to tell you that we went to the Auburn University marching band at the amphitheater this week.
Yeah,
man. We didn't get to. A tad late on the night schedule for us. But next year we'll be there. But man, we listen to the marching band on Spotify all the time. So
raise them up white, raise them up right in the way that they should go. Oh, that's an unfortunate one. Yeah.
And with that,
thanks for hanging out.
I'll
deal with the blowback. You head on out.
Have a good night, everybody.
Oh, goodness gracious. If it wasn't for the crazy world we live in, that wouldn't have been that big of a deal. All right. How do we come back from that? So let's get going here in the Q&A stuff. There are certainly a lot of opportunities to ask other questions, other topics. Some of you dropped those while we were talking. I'll run back through and look at a few of those. But once again, I do want to thank you all for your patience this evening with the malfunctions that we were dealing with were solely on me. And literally it's like Austin literally watched my studio implode on top of me. That's why it's a little dark tonight. That's why it's a little, off. And I'm a little off tonight, clearly, as you just saw that happen right on the screen. Anyway, all right, couple announcements for you, and then we'll get into the things. As always, we want to remind you that you can be here every Sunday night. We'd love for you to be here. Please do. And we'll see you next Sunday night at 9 Eastern time here for this particular show. But Auburn Family Night is back. It's the last one of the Auburn summer before the students are back and things get rolling. Last few weeks of preseason as well. So join us for Auburn Family Night. You're going to take center stage as the Auburn family calls, questions, topics. You take the show where you want to go. Lots of content throughout social media. Join us on TikTok. We do almost daily live streams there. You got another podcast series that's out in the middle of the week, Everett Podcast, which you can, if you're subscribed to our feed, You'll get that. That's audio only. So that's a reason for you to be subscribed to the audio and not just get the content here for this particular show on YouTube. I'll catch you up on the latest news that's going on. And I would suspect that we're going to have some more of that this week to dive into some details on and catch you up on. All right. So that's all of my announcements. If you have further questions for me, drop them in the chat. We'll round out the show with them. I'll run back through here and look at a few of the things that were missing. There was conversations about blueberries happening in the chat. All right. Let's see here. I saw one question that I wanted to take on this. This was from Thomas earlier. He says, I wish the Netflix series would have focused on one team per episode. I feel like more of the focus should have been put on Jarquez as opposed to Thorne, just my opinion. Yeah, I do think, especially with not all the teams being opted in, one team per episode, but some teams didn't provide as much good content, although there was plenty of the building up over adversity content for Auburn to have that in there and not have to share that. But listen, there are reasons for those decisions. I'm not necessarily going to just question a content creating individual or group without knowing what the reasoning behind it was. But we would have loved that, right? Now, to your point, that would Jarquez have been a great other option to focus on? Yes, I think that is correct. I think his story here at Auburn is one, certainly with its ups and downs, but certainly it's one that would have been worth telling. We don't know. He may have required quite a fee to be a part of that. I'm sure that's part of the NIL world, and that's his own right to do that. I'm just speculating on that. But I am happy that they got to tell Peyton Thorne's story, because it's one where he is easily a scapegoat for people, and it does humanize them and make you realize, hey, when I'm saying these awful things about these guys, maybe back off just a little bit. And you made your point. Move on. At this point, for some of y'all do need to move on from those particular points. Let's see here. Lots of people excited. We had Hendersonville, Tennessee checking in this evening. Devin, I don't know what you asked about, what the disease was that Alex was dealing with. I'm not so certain, so I'm not going to speculate on that, but certainly it is a gastrointestinal issue, and I hope that he got it figured. Well, it looks like he does have it figured out for him. Thomas said, I absolutely want Cobb returning kicks. He's got the one cut ability. Certainly that's a staple for him. And if college football 26 is to be an indicator, certainly it does seem like that'll be the case. Do y'all think Baylor's secondary can handle Cam Coleman and company? Felix, I am about 5 days away from really even beginning to think about predictions. I don't really know much about their secondary, so any type of prediction stuff, I'm just not even started thinking about it yet, because I think some time needs to pass there. But certainly those will be one of the questions we look at when times come. There was a big update this week. They lost one of their running backs, I think it was a running back. So that's not related to your question, but that's a point to things can change very rapidly. That's why I wait a little bit of time to make my predictions. Some predictions coming in from when we were talking about basketball, things like that. This was from Hunter. What are your thoughts for consistent swings in the spread against Baylor? We went from being a 1.5 to 2.5 and now back to 1.5. My thoughts on that are I don't pay attention to spreads. They're just a talking point for people to have another angle to just speculate on and things like that. It's where people with the money have their reasons, and I personally don't spend any time. Now, I can't speak for Austin as to what his opinion about that be. I just don't spend a lot of time thinking about that. A lot of good, some people we haven't seen in a while, new faces as well. Thanks for hanging out with us this evening. What else? Anything else that we missed here in the show? There you go. Thomas says the Twins need to be linemen. Now, I'm going to be sorry. He's not here to defend himself. I'm just going to go a step out and say that given the genetics that I know are at play with the Scott twins, I don't know that we're going to be looking at linemen. I could be wrong. Love Austin. Love his wife. I love the family, the couple, the twins. I just don't know that there are going to be a lot of lineman genetics at play in that one. But maybe we are talking about the next lineman, but we know that's a sticking point for you. You want to see that happen. Question from Hunter to round us out. Who do you think is one of the more underrated Auburn football players within the last decade? That's Nick Marshall. I think underrated. I think his respect is there, but I think he's still underrated. To me, I'm going to step out on a limb here, and it's a shaky one, I grant you. I think there's a conversation to be had about who was more integral to their team, Nick Marshall or Cam Newton. Do with that what you will. Clip it. I don't care. I said it. And maybe I'll regret it tomorrow. But I said what I said. And I mean what I mean. An elephant is faithful 100%. I don't know how that works into that. But y'all figure it out. There you go. Some helpful hints for growing up the Austin Scott boys into that. But anyway, I did say it, Hunter. And I ain't taking it back. At least for right now. So clip it if you need to. All right. Thanks for hanging out, guys, for being here. Let me work through all my shenanigans. That's the beginning and the end, apparently. Appreciate that. Until we talk to you again, appreciate you being here and being part of this little family within the Auburn family. Until we see you next Sunday or Wednesday.